What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ethan's Exotic Escapades. Today's going to be a little bit different of a video. It's going to be stormy this weekend, so I'm not going to really be able to make a video. It's going to be snowing, and it doesn't normally snow here. This is Clemson. It doesn't normally snow here, so it's going to be, I think, 2 inches of snow. So it might be pretty cool. I might let my dog play in the snow. Might show a clip of that at the end. I don't know. He's never seen snow before, so it'd be pretty cool. But today I'm actually going to be doing a Tegu care video. I'm going to be talking about what my Tegu needs to survive and what I do as a weekly process for him to make sure that he's healthy, and what stuff you might need if you're thinking about maybe getting a Tegu of your own. So we're actually going to go to PetSmart, and I'm going to show y'all what I do. It's a weekly occurrence that I have to go to PetSmart and get what he needs, but I'm going to show y'all all the stuff that I do at PetSmart and what you would need to do if you're going to get a Tegu for yourself. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe to join the tribe, and I'll meet y'all at PetSmart. Alright, made it here. I was actually joking, we're not at PetSmart, we're at Petco, but I mean, they're both basically the same thing. You get the same stuff at either one. But I'm going to go ahead and head in there and show y'all what y'all need. Alright, I'm inside Petco now, and I'm going to go ahead and get the stuff that I need for my lizard first, and then I can go ahead and talk to y'all about some other stuff that I already have and what you might need if you're going to get a Tegu. But normally I'll get 2 of these. These are super worms, large. These are large, and there's 50. It'll always say that there's 50 in here, but there's never 50 inside of them. But I always like to check and make sure that they're alive. They are. So I normally will get 2 of these, but this time I think I'm going to get 1 of these, and I'm also going to get some large crickets. Now, if you're getting crickets, you need to make sure that you feed these like the day of or the day after you get them, because these do not survive long. I've tried to have my own and raise my own so that I don't have to keep coming and buying them, but these do not survive. No matter what you do trying to take care of them, they won't survive. So I always feed these the day that I get them. You can wait a couple more days, but most of them are going to start to die. So I'm going to feed these to him today, and I'll keep these for feeding him later in the week. So this is what I'm going to get for Maximus for today. And they also, so Petco, whenever I go to PetSmart, they don't have these, but Petco has these giant Islander cockroaches, and I've actually got these to feed to Maximus, and he couldn't eat one of the big ones. He ate one of the small ones, and it was fine. But I also felt kind of bad because these like hiss and they're loud whenever you feed them. So it'll make you feel bad if you don't like hearing stuff like that. But I'm not going to get any of those. But they also have fruit flies. This is more for feeding smaller things. And these can't fly. These are flightless fruit flies. So, but these are normally for like small frogs. You can feed some other little lizards these if you need to, but that's really what those are for. And they also have hornworms. These are not super healthy for my lizard to eat. I actually tried to feed him these one time, and he did not like these. He wouldn't even try them. So, but you can feed those to your lizard, but it's really like a treat. So, and they have some smaller mealworms in like the cooler in here that you can get, and they have worms down there too. And then if you're needing frozen things, like they have frozen mice and stuff like that, for if you have a snake, you can feed them that stuff. So they have a good variety here. And now I'm gonna go and check out some of the vitamins. All right, I'm over here now at the vitamins and the calcium powder, and this is what I'll get. I'm not getting it today because I already have it, but this is Repashy Calcium Plus. This is what I get from my lizard because he needs this to be dusted on his bugs, since he's primarily an insectivore. Golden Tegus, so if you're looking to get a Golden Tegu, they're insectivores. So the majority of their diet is insects. So that's what you should feed them most of the time. They can eat a variety of other things, but primarily what he eats is different types of insects. So today I've got crickets and mealworms, and you can alternate with that. You don't have to always get crickets or always get mealworms. And I also will get the dubia roaches, which they don't have those here, but they do have them at PetSmart. Anyway, this is what I'll get, and I'll also get Repticalcium without D3. This has vitamin D3 in it, and this one doesn't. So if you need to get something without vitamin D3, then I would recommend you get this. But if you need vitamin D3, then I would get this. I actually do both of these though. I'll alternate back and forth with which one I want to do. And they also have other essential vitamins for your lizard that can help them and make sure that they're healthy. So if you're feeding live stuff like mice and rats or quail or something like that to your lizard or reptile, then you're not going to need to do this calcium powder on it because they have bones. The only reason I'm doing it is because I'm feeding him bugs, and those do not have bones in them. So it's very important to make sure that you're feeding this with whenever you're feeding the bugs. So I'll lightly dust this on them, and then I'll mix them up, and I can show y'all how I do that later today. Another thing that I'll also get is, let's see if that, yeah, here we go. So you can get this if you're lizard or tegu, like the Argentine black and white tegus and the red tegus, they are omnivores. So they're gonna need a mix of vegetables and stuff. So this is something good that you can get, and you can mix this in with their food. It's just Zilla omnivore mix. And you will need to add some water to this before you feed it to him. But I'll mix this up inside of his food that I'll feed him. Like I'll feed him eggs, I'll feed my lizard eggs sometimes, and I'll feed him some meat sometimes, and I'll mix this in with it. Or I'll also get fresh vegetables, and I'll also get there's also some fruits that he can eat. I don't do that as often because he primarily needs to eat insects, but if you have a different species of tegu, like the red tegu, blue tegu, or the Argentine black and white tegu, you're gonna need to feed them a way bigger variety of food because they're omnivores, so they need a lot more variety of food. I'm gonna go over here to the heating lamps and tell y'all what y'all would need for heating lamps. Okay, I'm over here at the heating stuff now, and the reason I was talking about vitamin D3 earlier is actually for this reason. So this is Power Sun. This is actually the exact same brand that I use for my lizard, and this is 160 watt. This is the wattage that I use, and there's actually a chart. You can actually look the chart up online because I would have to open up this to look at the chart, but the chart will tell you basically how far away the light needs to be to make sure that you don't damage your reptile. So there's different wattage for different whatever size terrarium or whatever size aquarium you have for your lizard. There's different sizes for their enclosure. So this is what I use though, and it has UVB and UVA, but the UVB is what's super important. Basically, it's copying sunlight. So this is a way that it can get sunlight in on a daily basis. And if you're not going to buy these, because these are very expensive, like this one, I'm not joking. This is $100. This bulb right here is $100, just the bulb. So, I mean, but you can get away with getting smaller wattages, but they might have to be closer to your lizard. It just depends on how big your enclosure is and how close their basking spot is to the light that they have. But anyway, if you're not going to get a bulb, you have to do the vitamin D3 supplement because there's no way they'll get vitamin D3. If they're not getting that vitamin, then they can develop metabolic bone disease, and that is awful, and they will die from that, and it's a very awful death. But anyway, this is what you're going to need. You can get one of these or one of the smaller wattages. It just depends on what size your enclosure is, but one of these is good. And then if you have a really big enclosure, you can also get another lamp for a basking spot if you need one. So I'm going to come over here, and these are basking spot bulbs. So this is also by ZooMed, and these are just to heat up your reptile to make sure it's at the right temperature. And after you get the bulb, you have to get a deep dome lamp fixture. This is a good one. And this is also by ZooMed. They have these at PetSmart and Petco, but if you don't want to get one of these, then you can get one of these, and this can support up to 250 watts. So make sure you're reading to see what wattage these can take, because if you cannot get a bulb that's higher wattage than this, because they will catch on fire, or they'll blow out the sockets in these, so, and that would not be good. But besides that, that's really all you need for heating. If you want to, so if you're not going to do a heating lamp, then you've got to do this, because a lot of reptiles need to have a certain temperature in their enclosure, and they need their body, since they're cold-blooded, their body has to be a certain temperature. So if you're not going to do a heating lamp, then you need to get one of these. These are heating pads that you can put in the enclosure. But I actually wouldn't recommend getting these. I've seen some bad reviews, and I've seen some bad things happening with people with their reptiles. If you are using it though, you can't put it inside of the enclosure. It has to be under the enclosure, because if you put it inside, it will burn your reptiles. So make sure that you're putting this under the enclosure, wherever you're wanting it to get hot. But I would highly recommend getting a heating lamp instead of this heating mat, because the heating lamp is a lot better and more natural. All right, I didn't talk about this a second ago, but I just remembered as I was walking by. This is not the brand or type that I have, but it is very important that you get a temperature and humidity gauge so that you can maintain the temperature and humidity and make sure that it's at the right level for your lizard. I have not these, I got mine from Amazon, but I mean, anything really like this, I haven't used this personally, but I'm sure it works fine. All right, and then another important thing that you need to get, so if you're keeping a Golden Tegu like me, this is what I use for his enclosure. This is a Eco Earth loose coconut fiber substrate. So this is for the bottom of his enclosure. The bag that I got is way bigger because his enclosure is a lot bigger, but this is a really good substrate to use. You can use this, and you can also mix play sand with it. There's a lot of other reptiles that you can use this for, but before you buy your reptile and buy the substrate, you need to research what kind of substrate it can have, because some animals can't have certain substrates, like this Reptibark down here. This isn't good to use for a lot of different reptiles, but because they'll sometimes eat this and choke on it, and it's not good. But it just depends on what kind of reptile you have. I normally go for this, the loose coconut fiber substrate, and you can use this by itself, or you can mix it with some other substrates, but this is the best one that I would use. And then besides the substrate, you need to make sure that you have a water dish. And if you have a Tegu, so a Golden Tegu, this is actually, this one's bigger than the one I have. Mine's a little bit smaller than this, but you have to make sure for your Tegu you have a water dish that they can get inside of, because they love to get inside the water, and it has to be big enough for them to fit their whole body in. So if you have a Golden Tegu, this actually would be this is more than enough space for it. But I can show you his whenever I get back at home. I can show you how big his is. But if you have a bigger Tegu, like an Argentine black and white Tegu, or a red Tegu, or a blue Tegu, something like that, then you are going to need a bigger enclosure, and you're going to need a bigger water dish, because they have to be able to fit their whole body in there so that they can soak. And that's good. Soaking is good for whenever they're shedding. They can get rid of their shed a lot easier if they're able to moisturize, and it just makes it a lot less hard for them to shed if they're able to get inside of water and make it wet. But if for whatever reason you already have your Tegu and you don't have a dish that's big enough, or the enclosure's not big enough to have a big water dish in it, then I would recommend you at least spending one day a week putting them into the bathtub and letting them soak in the bathtub to help with their shed. There is one more thing that's super important, and that is getting rocks. So, well, it doesn't have to be rocks. It can also be logs or something that it can get on top of, so that it'll be under the heating lamp, and make sure that it's high enough for it to get the right heat that it needs. But they don't have really any good rocks here, and they don't normally have any good rocks at PetSmart either. And if they do, they're extremely expensive. So I would recommend that you go outside and find your own rocks, and then just make sure you clean them real good. You can use Dawn dish soap. That's the best thing to use because that's not damaging to animals. So I would use Dawn dish soap and wash the rocks or logs or whatever it is you're getting. And then after they're clean, you can put them in the enclosure. But besides that, which I'll show y'all his rocks whenever we get back, and I'll show y'all how I have them stacked up to get them to the certain temperature that he needs them to be at so that he can sunbathe. I'm gonna go back and get my crickets and my super worms, but we're gonna go ahead to Walmart and I'm gonna get a couple more things for him and show y'all a couple more things that I have to get for him so that he can have a variety of a diet. All right, I have my goodies now. Got my crickets and I got my super worms to feed. And I'm gonna feed these later in the week, but I'm gonna feed the crickets today because they will die otherwise. But we're gonna go ahead and head over to Walmart. Okay, I'm on the way back from Walmart and you guys would not believe how ridiculous it is in there. They didn't have half of the stuff that I needed to get just for me for groceries. And they didn't have a lot of the stuff that Maximus needed either. But when we get back, I'll show y'all what I managed to get. I guess everybody's acting crazy because of the storm that's gonna be happening with the snow. I can't believe how much stuff they were out of at Walmart. But anyway, I'll meet y'all back whenever I'm back at my apartment and I'll show y'all what I got. Okay, I'm finally back from Walmart. That took way longer than I thought it was gonna take, but this is what all I got from Walmart. I got these kiwis. I haven't tried these before, but I know that they can have kiwis. I'll always try to get, these are really more like a treat. You can't give them too much of this because it's not going to be good for them if you do. But I'll give it to him I'll give him a little bit this week and see how he likes it. I don't know if he likes it or not, but normally I'll get like blueberries because he loves blueberries. That's really the only fruit that he likes, but I'll always get these. I get Purina 1, and then I'll get like the chicken flavor, or the other one I'll get is the beef and liver. And then I'll always get some kind of greens. He can't have lettuce. It's not good for him, so I make sure that I don't ever get lettuce, but he can have mustard greens, and I'm not sure if he likes them or not, but it really doesn't matter because I'll mix them up with his food. And the other thing that I was going to get that I couldn't get was eggs. I needed eggs because normally that's the other thing that he'll eat besides this can. This is just cat food, by the way. And these are really cheap. They're like 60 or 50 cents a can. So really cheap. It's really not that much money to feed him, but I mean, you have to go every week and get the food that he needs, and he has to have the bugs every week, really, because he is an insectivore. But he can eat other types of meat. Like I'll do turkey meat sometimes too, the ground turkey meat. He likes that. But typically, if I'm not feeding bugs, I'll do this canned food, or and then mix this up in it, or I'll do turkey meat, or I'll do eggs, and I'll mix either these greens inside of the whatever meat I'm giving him, and I'll also do the calcium powder on top of it because there's no bones involved. But besides that, I'll also do freeze-dried vegetables that they sell at like PetSmart and Petcare. Besides that, I'm going to go ahead and put up everything that needs to be put up, and then I will show y'all what I do with the dusting whenever I feed bugs. I even got him an actual dog bowl for his food because his food was getting out, and I wanted to get something where I know that they definitely can't get out of, so like the bugs and stuff. So I got him this, and he's actually out right now. Look at him. Hello. He wants to get out and jump all over me. I can open it up for y'all to see. Yeah, this thing, he gets a lot of substrate stuck in this right here, in the grooves of this, so it makes noise. I have to clean it basically every day because it makes so much noise. But here he is. I always make sure that I'm very gentle with him because I don't want to ever scare him. But he loves to be pet. But I just wanted to show y'all his little bowl because I have not shown that. And it's actually a dog bowl. It's made out of metal. I have no clue where it came from, but it had some mealworms in there earlier, but he ate those. Well, actually superworms, but he ate all this. All right, I just came up here and he's already out because he knows that he's about to get some food. So I'm about to show y'all how I get his food ready. The first thing I do is grab me a superworm or mealworm cup, and I use this to put the powder in so that I can mix the bugs up with the powder. Really just a good idea to keep these so that you can do this. Or you can use, it doesn't matter what kind of cup you use, but this is what cup I use. So I get my cup, and then I get, this is what I'm gonna be giving him. I'm gonna give him all of these. I don't know how many are there. Let's see, 36. So I'm gonna give him all of these, and I'm gonna put some of this into his cup first. So what I like to do is I like to cover the bottom with it. So that should be good. And once I've covered the bottom with it, let me show y'all. This is really what it should look like. I like to do this instead of dusting on top because I find this to be a lot easier. So, all right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get these opened up, and then I'm gonna dump them in. All right, once you finally have them all in here, that took me way longer than I thought. They were jumping everywhere, so it's a good idea to be somewhere where you're not gonna lose the crickets whenever you open the thing up, but it's always a hassle. But once you get them inside of your cup or whatever, and the reason that I separate them is because there's like poop and stuff inside of their original cup. I don't want to give him crickets that have poop all over them. So put them in here to do the powder instead of putting the powder in their thing. So then I'll shake it up, make sure that I get all of them pretty good, and make sure that it's all mixed up as good as it can be. I'll do this for like a couple of seconds normally. But once you got them all mixed up, then you look at him. This is crazy. Anytime I'm mixing up his bugs, he comes right out and he goes crazy. So now I'm gonna set them right here on top of his enclosure, and then he has this little lock right here. And his enclosure is a 4 by 2 foot enclosure, so it's pretty good. It's a pretty good, decent size for him. And well, it's a 4 by 2 by 2 foot, so it's 4 foot long, 2 feet wide, and then 2 foot tall. So it's a pretty good size for him. You can see how big he is compared to his enclosure. The way I normally do it for enclosure sizes for lizards is however big their body is decides how big their enclosure needs to be. So he is 3 feet, including his tail, but he's not a big lizard. Like, he's not as big as an Argentine black and white tegu. But yeah, look, you can see he's going crazy because I'll hand feed him a lot and he'll eat out of my hand. So he sees my fingers and he's like, ooh, yum. But anyway, typically since he's 3 foot long, I would get his enclosure needs to at least be 4 feet long. Needs to be at least a foot longer than his length. The height and width depends on how big your lizard is. There's really no way to know until they're full grown. Like, I can tell you all day what size the starter tanks or whatever size you should get for a baby, but once they're full grown, you're going to need a bigger enclosure. So this, I think, is pretty good size for the rest of his life. And I also get him out very frequently, so he has no issue with it. He loves this enclosure. But smaller than this, I would say, is a no-go for a Golden Tegu at full length. If your Golden Tegu is about the same size as mine, I would get a 4 foot long enclosure and 2 feet wide by 2 foot tall. And this comes in handy a lot. This lock right here. Because if I didn't have this lock, if you have one of those things where you just push down and it opens, he will open those. Trust me, I know, because I had him in one of those whenever I had to come home for Christmas break, and it was a no-go. So, because he actually opened it up. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and slide open his enclosure. All right, here we go. Got his enclosure slid open. Getting a good grip on this while I'm going into his enclosure. And he put some dirt in his bowl, so I'm gonna flip that out real quick. Look at him. Look at him looking at his bowl. And now I'm gonna start dumping in his crickets. And there you go. He goes crazy for him. Now I could show y'all him eating his crickets. But he goes crazy for his bugs, like crazy. Now, crickets are a little bit different. No matter really what size bowl you put, unless it's just extremely tall, you're not going to get one that's tall enough so that they can't get out. They can jump out, so. But he'll eventually catch the ones that jump out, because crickets don't bury themselves, so he'll get the ones that jump out. But that's how I mix up his bugs, and there's all his bugs in there. Sometimes he's a little shy and he won't eat a whole bunch on camera, but if I didn't have this camera in his face, he would be eating. Y'all saw him eat a couple because he went crazy when I first poured him in, but now he's being a little camera shy. Look at him. He's looking at me like, bruh. I will switch from the Repashy Calcium Plus to my Repticalcium without D3. I'll alternate between these two, so. And it's been working pretty good for him. Now I can show y'all exactly what I have in here that I said I was going to show everybody. So these are my rocks right here. I have 3 stacked on top of each other, and I made sure that I got flat rocks so that he can lay all the way across them. And then I have one over there, and then that's his water bowl over there. And I actually have to clean that every day because he gets in it and it gets dirty every day. I have this hiding hut, and then I also have this hiding hut, which you can see his leg in there right now. And then there's one of my temperature gauges, and it also does humidity. And then in the other corner, there's my other temperature gauge that also does humidity. Besides that, I have 3 lamps on top. This one has UVB in it, and this one also has UVB in it. And then this one right here in the middle is my basking lamp. So this one is the one right above his rock that he'll lay on to bask. But I made sure that I had 2 UVB lamps or UV lamps so that he can get UV no matter where he is in his enclosure. And another thing that is not necessary for you to have, but I have it, is a pooper scooper. I use this to clean up his poop, or whenever he uses the bathroom, I can scoop it up really easy. You can also get a misting bottle and mist the enclosure. If your lizard is needing a certain humidity during the day, you can spray it as much as needed. And then you can just look at your temperature and humidity gauges, and it'll tell you how hot it is and what the humidity is in your enclosure at all times. One other thing that's important for really any Tegu species, but especially the Golden Tegu, is making sure that the substrate is deep enough for them to be able to bury themselves, because they love to bury themselves. So this is what I go through twice a week, actually, because I feed him bugs twice a week. He likes to go after the ones that get out of the bowl a lot more too, but there y'all go. Okay, so that just about does it for the Tegu part of the video. I told y'all at the beginning that if it was gonna snow, I was probably gonna take my dog out and let him play in the snow, and I'm gonna do that. So before I end this video off, I'm gonna take him out. It's actually snowing right now, and he's never seen snow, so we're gonna take him out there and see what he thinks of snow. Let's see what do you think of the snow, Anakin? You like the snow? You want to play in the snow? I'm gonna go ahead and head over there, and my girlfriend's gonna bring her dog down there too, and we're gonna let our dogs play together in the snow. So it's both their first times. I'm at the dog park now, and he loves the snow, and so does Leia. Their first ever snow day. All right. Let's see if Anakin wants to play with this ball. Anakin, you want this ball? You want the ball? You want the ball? Sit. Oh! Oh no, where'd the ball go? You want another one? You like these? Here you go. Oh, it's so funny. Okay, that does it for today's video. If you have any more questions about a tegu that I didn't answer, just leave it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this exotic escapade. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe to join the tribe. And I'll see you on the next one.